Jeffrey has finally worked up the courage to ask Jessica out. Hi, Jessica. I was wondering if maybe you want. You know, said Jessica. Before Jeffrey could even finish his sentence, he instantly felt embarrassed and ran off crying with everyone in the room watching. That's no way to deal with rejection, Jeffrey. You are a man. Adonis. Adonis never gets rejected. Women can't resist him. But you know, when he was younger, he had to go through hundreds of rejections. But interestingly, young Adonis used each and every rejection to build himself up rather than to break himself down. How did he do this? Usually when I start these videos, I tell you a story, a specific real story of the time that I've messed up and I've made the mistake that we're talking about. But one thing that I've always known about myself is that I've taken rejection far better than most guys. I think some other guys are like this, so you might be the same. If there was ever a time that a girl rejected me, I always had this like nonchalant response to it, like, oh yeah, fair enough. Inside of my mind, inside of my heart, I would be hurting, but I would never show that externally because I just didn't want to be like one of those guys that gets like aggressive or really sad or cries in front of a girl when she said like no, she doesn't want to date him or anything. I've always been way more stoic, at least externally, and inside I feel the emotions. But before we start this video, let's begin with some wise words of Adonis. Rejection for men hurts, but just know that every time you are rejected, you are being redirected to something better. 75% of men are scared to talk to women. If the majority of these men improved their mental health and then also got onto self-improvement and built a physique and got more confidence, they'd be able to speak to girls. But there's an issue with this process of a lower value guy getting a little bit of confidence to go and speak to a girl. Eventually he gets rejected and it's a brutal black pill. In fact, I had a friend who went out for the first time cold approaching. I remember he came back totally like literally just fucking angry and upset. He went out, cold approached like 2-3 girls, got rejected. Cold approached, in his words, a fat bitch, in his words, and she still rejected him. And he came back totally fucking black pilled. And what's interesting, this guy was attractive as fuck, by the way. So obviously like the way he's went up maybe wasn't really that good or whatever, you know, he must have done something wrong. But it was his first time going out to like cold approach and stuff. Rejection can happen to anyone. This is why some people on the online space think that if you're an attractive guy, you'll never get rejected. It's the exact opposite. Attractive guys usually get rejected more because lower level guys, less attractive guys don't really get that many rejections because they just don't have the confidence to go up and speak. But then if you are one of these guys and you do build up that confidence to go and speak, you must be ready for this. So many guys think that all it takes is the confidence to go up to a girl and then that's it. But really what you have to do is face the rejection like a man. How would Adonis take it? Well, in a lot more of a mentally healthy way. He wouldn't get angry and think, oh, you know, like, oh, they rejected me, she's a bitch or anything. He would just think, okay, that simply means we are not compatible. This woman that he's went up to and has rejected him, they're simply not compatible because if they were, things would have happened. So maybe that's a better mindset for you to take away from this. The next time you experience rejection, you experience a girl who's just ignored your message, you experience like, you know, some girl who's just denied you and said, let's just be friends instead. Just think to yourself, this isn't something to be angry about. You haven't even lost anything. That's an interesting point that we have to cover, but you haven't lost anything. In fact, you've just taken out one person now that you're not compatible with. So you're actually one person down now to finding like the actual person that you want to date and fall in love with. And you know what's interesting? I just said that when a girl rejects you, you haven't lost anything. Why does it feel like you have? For a lot of guys, the reason why rejection really hurts is because they feel like they have lost something. And can you guess what this is? Because now I've got a good story for you. What you've lost is the life that you've built up with her in your mind. You see, for a lot of guys of the lower level of men, well, what we do is we get some level of interest from a girl and then we obsess over her. I would get a crush for a girl, bro. I'd go back home. This was, you know, 17 years old. And at nighttime, I'd be sleeping, cuddling my pillow, thinking it's her, just visualizing and dreaming about us doing things together. So then eventually this girl rejected me because, of course, you know, thinking these things made me needy as well. Well, then that's why it was so painful, because I had literally lived like a mini life with her in my mind and she didn't even know. That girl that you're fantasizing about in your mind, you're probably never gonna get her. Usually for a guy, it's the girl that you don't even think twice about is the one that you actually get, the one who actually falls in love with you, because you have this masculine, confident approach to her. The girl that you're just constantly daydreaming about, most likely is gonna reject you because, one, you seem needy because you're thinking about her all the time. Trust me when I say it's obvious. It really comes across. When you think about someone all the time, especially like, you know, a guy thinking about a girl, it really becomes obvious. When you're a guy who doesn't think about the girl, it's really obvious. And as much as girls say that they really want a nice guy, and bro, girls want the guy who doesn't really think about them. Any like little male feminist Jeffrey watching this will disagree, but I'm telling you right now, if you go and just observe the guys who are literally the best with women, the guys who have slept with thousands of women, for example, and you know that's degenerate, but like that is a good indicator for success of like, okay, they are extremely attractive, desirable men. They aren't there, sat there fucking cuddling their pillow thinking about the girl. Why is it that the girls that you know in your school or your workplace, or you know, the ones that you remember from back in the day, why is it that all of them were obsessed with the guy who seemed to be obsessed with some something else. That guy was obsessed with playing sports or business or something. Well, because women are attracted to a man who barely even thinks about them. What they want is that top tier Adonis level guy who's thinking about work, who's thinking about, you know, sports or something, who then just for a small amount thinks about her and she feels amazing because like this high level guy is finally giving her some attention. That feels awesome. What she doesn't want is a chump who gives her all the attention and none to develop in yourself. It's a cold, bitter truth that a lot of guys are waking up to. Well, you need it because you've been fed this fairy tale lie. You can daydream about these girls and that you won't experience rejection as long as you're a nice guy. Bro, no one gives a fuck if you're nice, because she also considers the guy who's that alpha Chad type of guy to be a nice guy up until he eventually loses interest in her. Women, when they're in love with you, they think you're nice, even if you're an asshole. It's only when you've broken up with her or, you know, these guys cheat on them or something, that's when these girls say, oh, he's an asshole or something. But she thought he was nice like a week ago. You being nice isn't anything special. If anything, it's worse, because it's not nice when like a low value person is like really nice to you, especially when they want something from you, like penetrating you. You see, this good boy attitude is way more manipulative and way more evil than it seems. Women know this, bro. Women know that you want to get inside of them. They know that your core primal desire is to literally ejaculate inside of them. I know this is vulgar, but this is important. Women have this, we all do. We have this biological primal brain that tells us, yeah, of course that is. So when she sees you, little chump, going up to her and acting like you want to be friends instead, how can she respect you when she knows that's your core primal desire? Women don't respect the nice guy. Women don't respect the guy who comes up trying to be friends. As much as they can say, oh, this, you know, the other guy, the Chad, Adonis guy, they can say he's an asshole, they can say this and this and this. The thing is, they respect those men because those men come up and make it clear that they want to do the primal thing with them. You don't. That's why you get no respect from women. I didn't. That's why I got no respect from women for a long time. It was only when I gave myself permission to be rejected, to even come across as a little bit creepy, because creepy is just a term, like a label attached to a low value guy who's beginning to act like a high value man. It's as simple as that. Creepy is the term where a low value guy then wants to fuck a girl who thinks that she's above him. That's labeled as creepy. High value men can't be creepy. If a girl is totally attracted to you and thinks that some girl is gonna reply and say, oh yeah, she can. If a girl is totally like in love or admires and respects this man, he could not be creepy. I could go do some creepy shit to my girl right now. Like what? I could go stare at her. She'd literally like it because I'd be giving her attention. I could pull some like weird creepy face or something. She'd like it. I couldn't be creepy to my girl, right? There'd be no way. So then comes the question, as always, well, how do you go from Jeffrey to Adonis in terms of dating girls? Well, you have to stop doing the things that Jeffrey does. You have to stop playing video games. You have to stop eating shit food. And this is when all the guys who are so hooked will be like, oh, well, I'm not gonna do it. Well, 1 hour of video games is healthy. Like, oh, it shows. What you do in your spare time, even though no one can see it, bro, they can see it. People can tell what you do in your spare time. I can look at you and see if you used to play video games. I can look at you and roughly tell when was the last time you jacked off. Honestly, bro, I can look at you and see if you are a wanker. You think girls can't? Maybe I'm nicely like attuned to this to see the character of someone by the way that they look. But bro, girls have been built through evolution to know if you're a fucking loser or not. So when you walk in with like shitty posture, the younger version of you, when you were doing a lot more of the Jeffrey stuff, well, how can you blame her for wanting to reject you straight away? Because you admit Jeffrey-ness, and women don't want to be impregnated by Jeffrey. It's as simple as that. When you start to show traits of Adonis, of actually being like a top tier man, you'll be more attractive. You need to have this mindset right now, this more abundant mindset, that if a girl does reject you, you should not be saying, oh yeah, fuck that bitch or whatever. You can say those things in your mind a little bit if you want to, like, you know, go to the gym and push hard if you want. It's not healthy, but like sometimes it can be nice to get a good pump in the gym from thinking about that bitch or something. But if a woman does reject you, what you should be just thinking is, okay, fair enough, we're not compatible. Let me move on to the next woman then. Let me keep developing myself. As long as I keep improving and I stay on this journey to become like Adonis, I will secure this future love for myself. I was 17 saying this to myself. Any rejection that I went through, all I could think about was my garage. My garage in my house. We have a home gym. That's all I'd be thinking about. I'd get rejected. I'd go back there with this sense of bliss, just thinking, okay, fair enough. If I don't stop lifting, I will eventually build like such an attractive body that will give me such an abundance of women. I was thinking this at 17 before I had even kissed a girl, and it's exactly what happened. That is like the abundance mindset that you need. Abundance doesn't necessarily just mean you have lots of women. And it doesn't even mean that you delude yourself to thinking that you have lots of women. It means that you are okay with not having some right now because you know that you will secure it for your future self because you're doing the right things. And if you don't have this right now, if you don't feel like this level of security that you're gonna become hotter and hotter and hotter, I promise you it's because you're doing the wrong things in life. I promise you it's because you're wasting time. I promise you it's because you're fucking around on social media, on porn, on video games, shit habits like going to sleep late. A lot of guys have these and you don't want to admit them. But if you can't see yourself getting better and better and better with more of an abundance and getting better at handling rejection with women over time, there's something that's going wrong in your daily habits. You need to figure it out because that's literally going to hold you back. If you want to start approaching women and going through some rejections to practice doing it in the right way, I've made a video for that, how to approach women. Go click that right now. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it.